going on, Jeromes? So we've been neglecting some of the Q&A, so we're going to get to a couple of them today. 5 good, amazing questions. Thank you very much for everyone who submits questions. So on the community tab, we'll intermittently put out a call for questions. We'll do up a couple of videos, and it'll be good times, just like the Wolves. What's up, Sylvie? Yeah. Everyone's tired today, but it's okay. Worth it. First up, Angel Duditz Sr., the first. Andy, percentage chance that JJ starts week 1 as quarterback. Percentage chance that Justin Jefferson starts the quarterback. He could throw it. 0.1%. Anyways, but with McCarthy, I don't know. I think right now it's probably 60-40, Darnold and McCarthy. And, of course, McCarthy hasn't gotten on the practice field yet. Rookie minicamp is going to be coming up this weekend, as well as rolling in through OTAs, and the kid is going to have a chance to impress, yes. But what I do know is O'Connell has a plan. And the thing I love is that there isn't going to be any internal pressure. There isn't going to be any internal politics to get this kid out on the field before he's ready. And Kevin O'Connell knows that quarterbacks can be ruined by a bad stretch of games, especially when you're a rookie. Bad habits can be ingrained. You can start seeing ghosts. Confidence level can go down the effing drain, right? And I love that Kevin O'Connell has a step-by-step, day-by-day plan for McCarthy where you can't take the reins until you can pull an oar. Or you can't take the helm until you can pull an oar. Nailed it. But what I do know is that if he starts week 1, it means that he's earned the job, and it means that he's ready to rock and roll. And it won't be a second before he's ready, which is something I like. Doormaster. Prediction: how many sacks Dallas Turner is going to have as a rookie? So I don't know if I've said it. I think I've said it, but I'm ready to put it on the table. Dallas Turner is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year this season, and putting some jelly beans on it for entertainment purposes only, of course. And Turner, he has a skill set to be a 3-down player in the NFL eventually. I think that at the beginning, it wouldn't shock me if he's a platoon situational pass rusher, but he still gets 60% of the snaps per game. And I think that he's going to rack up and stack up sacks. Like I could see him having 16.5 tackles for loss. I could see him having 10.5 or 11 sacks. I could see him having a stunning 18% pressure rate. I think that's what he's going to do. I think Dallas Turner is going to be extremely good out of the gate. I think this defense is set up perfectly for him to, it's a lot like McCarthy. So Turner has great edge rushers with him. Jonathan Grenard is going to be a great mentor and also rush opposite of him in most spots. AVG is a great asset as well. Plus, you got big bodies in front of you that can absorb offensive linemen. I think that Dallas Turner rushing from a wide 9 spot is going to have plenty of opportunities to put up stats, man. And it's only going to help this team and this defense. It's going to be great. R-Free. And I know people will piss him off. It's like, oh, we still talk about Kirk Cousins. Well, number one, it's still funny to me. It's still very interesting to me. If you don't like it, start your own channel. R-Free, with Atlanta finally giving Kurt some legitimate competition, do you think he uses it as motivation and kills it, or will it destroy his confidence? So Kurt's been interesting throughout his career. So he took RG3's job back in Washington. Didn't really have a quarterback on the roster after he became the starter that could take his job. And with the Vikings, like you've seen the Gong Show of the Trevor Simeons, of the Sean Mannions of the world. And Kurt's even gone to bat for Sean Mannion. That's why he hung around for so long, because it's under the guise of, he's a high football IQ guy. No, Kurt just wants toadies around him that have no threat of taking his job, because the usurper always is on the lookout for usurpers. And since Cousins took over Washington from RG3 in a palace coup, he's very aware that it could easily happen to him. So I think that's why, I think that's why he was threatened by Kyle Sluter, the people's champ from preseason. I think that's why, the Vikings spending a 5th-round pick on Jaron Hall. I think he was quasi-threatened by that too. Hell, and also, as Burt Breer reported yesterday, one of the many reasons why he chose to leave Minnesota is because the Vikings were very upfront with him. It's like, hey, we're probably going to draft a replacement. So he was like, deuces, I'm going to take my guarantee money in Atlanta. And Atlanta's like, oh, wait, buddy. I guess he didn't do the math right. We had a better draft pick than the Vikings. We took a quarterback at 8. Now, will he rise up? I don't know. Pun intended, because that's their team mantra. But Penix is going to be tough, man, because Penix isn't a guy like Drake May. Penix isn't a guy like, Bo Nix is a bad example because Bo Nix 5,000 years old. Like, Penix is ready to go now. Right? There's a lot of quarterbacks that would benefit from sitting for a couple years, but the fact that Penix has been through the wars in Indiana and Washington, and this is where maturity is a plus, and also the offense he ran at Washington with a plum, like, he's ready to go now. So I think that even though Kirk has $100 million guaranteed, I think that Penix could easily win over. Well, I'm even though Fontenot signed Cousins, he drafted Penix. I could easily see the coaching staff being like, hey, this Penix guy gives us a better chance. Hey, Kurt's Achilles, especially since it's off his plant foot, I mean, maybe he doesn't have that velocity on his deep ball that he had in previous years, and that could be a major issue. Plus, I mean, the fans with the Falcons, you could see them buying in with Penix early and often. And I think that this could end up being a divided locker room, and I don't know if Kurt's ready for that. But I guess we'll see. Either way, he's got his money, so who cares? Next, Bob, Minnesota Sports Cards. But think about getting back into collecting cards, because I used to love collecting cards back in the day. Any concern about the Vikings not drafting a defensive tackle until 7th round? So the Vikings' interior defensive line depth. Now, there was rumor and scuttlebutt that the Vikings were in on Christian Wilkins. The Vikings were in on looking to add a defensive tackle in free agency, and it would lead you to believe that the Vikings would probably do the same in the draft, right? And even though I love me some Dallas Turner, if the Vikings would have sticked and picked and took Johnny Newton at 23, I don't think anyone would have batted an eye, and frankly, I would have loved the pick. But the fact that the Vikings passed on defensive interior until the 7th round, Levi Drake Rodriguez, senior sack from Texas A&M Commerce, I think it says a couple things. Number one, I think they really like LDR, which is great, and also I think that they see that Jaquelin Roy could have a little something going for him this year. Now, the Vikings, with that 3-man front, the main job of the guys up front is to absorb bodies so that edge rushers and linebackers can scrape free and go do their jobs, yes. But also, I mean, the Vikings play odd fronts quite often, and Flores likes changing up. So there is room for, that B-gap destroyer type player. And Jaquelin has quickness. He's got strength. I think that he has a chance to get more integrated into the defense. I think that he can play some 3-tech. I think that he can play some pass rushing nose. So I think that's really big for him, where maybe it wasn't designed that way, but maybe it's part and parcel where the Vikings, they didn't find top-end value at defensive tackle throughout the draft until picking up LDR in the 7th, and also they believe in Jaquelin Roy. Both things could be true at once. Lastly, user, what UDFAs are going to make the team? Nice avatar. So, I mean, everything is just like throwing darts, but so I've highlighted 6 guys that really strike my fancy. So Ty James, the receiver for Mercer, he's not a height, weight, speed specimen, but he's a clean route runner. He's got great hands, put up monster stats, 2-time FCS All-American. I think that he's a guy to watch, especially since the receiver competition behind Jefferson Addison is pretty wide open, pun intended. Doug Nestor from West Virginia. I just like his grit, and also he played at Virginia Tech, former teammates with Christian Darrisaw. I think that he does have a good pedigree as well, like his size, like that he's got guard tackle flexibility. I think that if there's going to be someone that comes out of the UDFAs for offensive line, I would put my money on Doug Nestor. Although Jeremy Flax, I mean, you can't coach size. Jeremy Flax is a monster, man. Come on. Edge rushers, so Gabe Murphy, Bo Richter as well. Dallas Gant, formerly of Ohio State, came to Toledo, tackling machine. I think that his floor will be a stud special teamer, and then adding some depth at linebacker. I think that would be huge. And also McLaughlin. I mean, McLaughlin and Gabe Murphy, I mean, both of them could have been like late 4th, early 5th round picks, and I don't think anyone would have been surprised. So the fact that the Vikings landed both of them as UDFAs, I think that's huge. I think it's pretty big. But I would say that Ty James, Nestor, probably practice squad, probably Bo Richter as well. And if I had to put Case on guys making the 53, I would bet Murphy first. I would bet McLaughlin second. I would bet Gant third. So that's where we're at. But that's it. That's Q&A for this beautiful Tuesday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.